It is showtime, ladies and gentlemen. You are here with the Fantasy Football Buzz podcast. You've got the commish. With me, as always, we have Cyclop from beautiful North Carolina. It's probably cold
That's
there
right.
now. Uh,
Beautiful here.
and we are
50.
here tonight. 50s? Beautiful.
Yeah.
So we are here tonight to talk about week 11. What's happening in, who are we picking up in week 11? Who are we dropping? Who still has a shot at the playoffs? Everybody? A few of you? All of you? That's what we're going to talk about tonight, and we're also going to do a redraft. We're going to take a look at the first round and who went in the first round, right? Our first 10 players, and take a look if we did a redraft today, who would be those top 10 players and how
Okay.
close is that list, right? So we're gonna take a look at that a little later on in the show, and most importantly, we're going to be answering your fantasy football questions. If you have any questions, you want to know who to pick up, who to drop, who to start, who to trade, who not to trade, that's what we're here
Right.
for. Go ahead and you can give us a call at 772-800-BUZZ, or put your comment in YouTube Live or Facebook Live, and we will break in with whatever we're doing and answer your question. Brad, why don't you say hello to everybody tonight?
Oh, man, excited to be here. Going into week 11. I am excited because I am in 6 leagues and I am in the hunt or, potentially in the playoffs in all 6 of them. I don't have a league. I started one league 0-5 and now I'm 4-6 and one game out of the playoffs and right on and the highest points out of the 3 teams ahead of me. So if I do make up one game from any of them in the playoffs, so I'm really excited, having
But
fun.
I didn't
But
announce that we were going to be bragging tonight and patting
hey,
ourselves on the back. But I guess you're allowed.
look,
It's okay. No, you're allowed.
it's my show. I could do whatever I want. so so I have a. We already have a comment. We'll look at that in a second. But I have a kind of a statement and a question. Right, last week, as 1 week ago, we were saying, "Hey, is it possible that we could actually bench Mahomes?" And boom, what does he do? He comes out and says, "No, not quite yet."
Right.
Right?
Yep.
400 yards, 5 touchdowns, no interceptions. They're looking strong again. So, it goes back to the same old thing. Start your guys,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
We
You got to
told you,
stick with
right?
it.
We told you, don't play games. Don't try to be cute. Start the guys who got you there and that are going to continue to get you there, because let's put it this way, Brad. If you're willing, are you willing to trade somebody like Mahomes for somebody
Yeah.
like you would trade Mahomes right now for somebody mid tier like Ryan Tannehill?
Well, no, well, I mean, depends what you're getting back. If you're maybe getting
Who are you
back
benching Mahomes for then?
if you are desperate at running back, say you've had Henry and injured, say you've had other people and you're injured, and you can get a really good running back
Right?
and maybe
Okay.
go down
Okay.
to a mid-tier quarterback, yeah, the value might be there, absolutely.
Okay.
Especially off a week like this,
You're absolutely right.
right?
I was thinking quarterback for quarterback. I'm just saying, if you're willing
Oh,
to
well,
bench Mahomes, you have to be willing. Would you be willing to trade him for whoever you're starting in that lineup? The answer is probably no. But yes, I understand what you're saying. If you can get a top tier running back for somebody like Mahomes, absolutely. Right.
right.
That's not what I was asking.
Yeah,
I'm just
yeah.
saying,
Okay. No, would I want to get rid of Mahomes and get Ryan Tannehill? No, probably not. But you have to look at the big picture, right? Um, but Mahomes kind of came out and had this amazing week. Will that sustain? Right? He had 3 pretty bad weeks before that. So is
yeah,
there a middle ground somewhere? Or did he kind of come out of his slump? Who knows, right? We got to wait till next week. You never know. And could he throw up a dud next week and get 12 or 13 points? I guess. All right. If things are flying in here. Let's just jump right to this. Kenneth said he's tried calling. I don't know if you have that turned on, but Kenneth,
yeah. We'll probably start
um,
the calls in about 10 minutes.
okay, yeah, so we'll let that.
Give us a call in like
Um,
10 minutes.
we have here from Angelo. It says, "Who's the hot waiver pickup this week?" That is a great question. Angelo, if I don't know how hot it is, right? But if obviously AJ Dillon, if he was
Right. If
not handcuffed by
somehow,
somebody,
if
boom, pick him
somehow
up
somebody was
somehow,
stupid enough
right?
not to handcuff him, then abs 100%. I mean, there's not
Yeah,
going to be a better guy unless I don't
yeah,
know how available he is in leagues, but you're
right.
right. If he's
Yeah.
there for
And
sure. As far as
Stevenson may be more available in leagues, but with Bill Belichick, Stevenson may be inactive this week. We don't know, right?
exactly, and Brandon, yeah, he'll Bolden will end up being the guy.
Right. Or and then
So
Harris is going to be back probably. I don't know what his status is, but you got to
right,
keep an eye on that. But he obviously did show that he's got talent, so that could even when Harris does come back, uh, Stevenson still should get a share there. And they look good. You're talking about a team that is starting a rookie quarterback that looks like he should be hanging out on the beach,
yeah.
in somewhere rather than playing football, and they're winning. Um,
Well, look,
anyway,
two
okay.
two two other running backs that I think are
Yep,
worthy of mentioning are Deontay Foreman,
yep,
who actually has won that
yep. Got it right
three-headed
there.
monster in Tennessee between Peterson, Foreman, and McNichols. It turns out that Foreman, who got 36% of the snaps, he seems to be the better carrier, and not taking anything away from the future Hall of Famer Adrian Peterson or third down back Jeremy McNichols, but Deontay Foreman seems to be the guy that they're going to trust moving forward. As long as he can block, they're going to keep him.
Right.
Um, and then Wayne Gallman, right? So people don't realize that
Yep,
Patterson has that ankle sprain.
yep.
Mike Davis, who a lot of people picked up in their top 4 or 5 rounds of the draft, thinking the consensus was yes, he would be a low end one or a high end two, however you want to look at it.
Right.
But he's been a low end four, if anything. I mean,
Yeah.
Mike Davis,
Terrible.
yeah, and Wayne
Yeah.
Gallman actually outplayed him. Wayne
Well,
Gallman got 42% of the snaps in week 10, and he saw 15 carries for 55 yards. So until Patterson comes back, I think Gallman might be worthy of a pickup.
yeah. One of the things they were saying, it was a lot of mop up time, so they put Gallman in there, but he looked pretty good. So
He did.
does that put him at least 50-50 with Davis, or is it going to maybe put him right into the Patterson numbers, right? And Davis just hasn't looked good. He hasn't been able to garner that share even. So yeah, no, those are the other two guys I had listed here. I just didn't get that in depth with Travis at this point.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
so Travis, how do you think? Let's go to the next one here. Oh, Travis has a few things here. How do you think Barkley is going to do on Monday? Well,
I mean, is he going to get hurt again?
if he
If he
plays, right?
plays, will he get hurt again? Um,
I mean, the answer is yes. I don't know if it'll be this week or another week, but yes, he will be hurt.
no, but you have to start Barkley. If Barkley plays,
You
you
start
have
him.
to start him.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
can't. You're not going to bench him in fear that he's not going to do well. I mean, look at James Robinson, right, with the Jacksonville Jaguars, who came off of being away for 2 weeks, and he comes back and he has a pretty good game. So
right,
I wouldn't be too concerned. I would be concerned possibly for rest of season, but if we're talking
right.
about just this week, if he plays, yeah. Is it a great
Start him.
matchup against Tampa Bay? I don't think so, because we're probably going to be playing from behind.
Right,
So, he's probably an RB2 right now. Um, at this point, where hopefully later on the season, he'll be your RB1.
right. So Kenneth asked his question of the week on here, and we'll get to that in a few minutes. But Travis said Travis is in the Vampire League, right?
Oh, yeah.
And he says, "Hey guys, another win this week. Don't get to pick a new player just into the next week." So I don't understand that. I don't know why you don't get to pick a player at this point. We don't know, but we think you should be able to, Travis.
Right.
And then he says, "Yeah, Gesicki I think Gesicki let everybody down, including his own team. But he just didn't have the share. But he should be good. And yeah, you don't want to. He's like another one of those guys. You got to start him. He should be getting more shares. He should be getting more looks, especially against the Jets this week. So go with it. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's bizarre, right? Because Gesicki was getting a lot of the share
It's
of
crazy.
catches,
Yeah.
and even though there were some targets, it just didn't work out in his favor. And it's possible, and without knowing all of the defensive schemes for the Ravens, it's very possible that they were focusing and just took him out of the game, which is why it opened it up for the other two
Right.
Dolphin tight ends to actually do pretty well.
Right.
But moving forward, unless teams are going to concentrate on taking him out, which as long as if once
He
we start getting receivers back, it may be a little different.
Yeah, he had 7 targets
Right.
with 0 catches. That's amazing.
That's tough to do. That is tough to
That
do.
is tough. Yeah, that is pretty tough. So, I mean, the last, he's had, a lot. He's getting his targets every week. This just happened to be a week he didn't get any. So stick with him. He'll be fine. No need to worry about him. Okay. So why don't we get into when we already talked about those like 4 big running. There's not a ton of free agents out there, but we are still getting into bye weeks, right? So you do still have some uh free agents out there that you need to pick up for on your waivers, just for the week, maybe 1 week, maybe 2 weeks, whatever it is, because you have guys like Stafford coming on by and different bye weeks. So I will just go through a few at each position. We won't get into huge detail, but we'll just pick up a few. Okay. Quarterback, you have Tua. He's going against the Jets. His looked pretty good, and his fantasy numbers have been pretty good. So if you're looking to stream a guy this week, Tua, you have Garoppolo going against Jacksonville, and Jacksonville's defense has played fairly well. Played really well a couple weeks ago against the Bills, but look, they looked really good last night, right? Samuel was running all over the place. Ayuk was getting catches. They looked good against what we thought was a good Rams defense. So he's another guy that could be out on waivers. You pick him up, for the week. You start him, and then get your guys back into the lineup. Running backs we went over: Foreman, Dillon, Stevenson,
Hold
Gallman.
on, can time out? Can we go back to quarterback?
No.
Okay.
Okay,
What about
go ahead.
Cam Newton?
Oh, please. Blech.
Oh, okay.
Come
I'm getting
on.
dun dun
He's going to throw
dun
for
dun dun
130.
dun 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 dun.
Okay, you're going to what's the bet though? You tell me.
I think Cam Newton moving forward will be in the top 10 of quarterback points. If everyone had 0 as of today, he will end in the
Oh,
top 10
please.
because he's going to end up taking over that offense, and then we're going to see the resurgence of people like DJ Moore, like Robbie Anderson. I think you're going to see a completely different offense.
I don't think you can
So,
get a pass. No. You know
so
what?
I
Look,
think
I live in
that
North Carolina.
if
I'm a
you're
closet Panthers fan. All right?
I know you're in Panther territory. I understand that, and
Oh,
he hasn't been named the starter. I think it's just a matter of time that he will be, and
the
he's
only
going
reason
to
he put
take
up
over
points
that offense.
he put up points last week because he had a 1-yard touchdown run and a
He had a
2-yard
run and a
pass.
pass for
That's
touch.
his
Right.
that's his
I,
abilities. That's it.
that's how he was being used in New England.
Let's make it
I
1,000,
don't
not 1.
necessarily what 1,000. Hey, by the time the season's over, with all the dollars I've won from you guys, maybe I'll have 1,000.
You
But
write that one down. I'm not even writing that down. You can write that one down.
well,
All right.
that actually goes into and I know
Turn
we're in
on
the middle of it.
the phone.
Okay, the phone is on.
Yeah, turn on because I actually have someone else who I told to give a call to because he had a question. I said, call the show.
Call the show. So the phone is
Um,
on. Another one who y'all take. What's our take on Mike Williams right now? He hasn't been doing as good. Same with Moore, but hopefully Newton can help him. I'm not really sure what Newton has to do with Mike Williams.
Well, no, maybe he has both of those people, but Mike Williams has been awful, right? And
Yeah, he really has.
we talked about this a couple weeks ago. It's very interesting because all of a sudden it was like that tide was turning, right? And all of a sudden, um, what's his name was getting all the targets and the catches. Um,
Keenan Allen.
Keenan Allen instead of Mike Williams, right? But Keenan Allen is always getting those 10 to 12-yard catches. Mike Williams was getting those 60-yard catches,
Yeah.
and it was and certainly inflating his numbers. And now, whether teams have taken that away, I don't really see a lot of those games coming from the West Coast, and I don't end up seeing a lot of them. But man, he's just disappeared.
Yeah. Yeah, I understand what he's saying now that DJ Moore hasn't been the same, but maybe Newton can help if Newton starts. Brad doesn't think so, Travis. I actually do, which is why I bet Brad $1 million. But so yeah, I think Newton may be able to help DJ Moore. I wouldn't bench him at this point, DJ Moore. I think that he's still somebody you have to start. But yeah, Mike Williams, he'll have his games. I'm not suggesting you drop Mike Williams. He's going to have his games, but right now it's just been miserable. And if you hear that, the phone is ringing. Hey, Kenneth, welcome to the Buzz. How are you? Oh, this isn't Kenneth. Who is this? Hello, caller.
All right, that may be Nathan,
Nathan.
uh, but we can't hear him.
Can't
So maybe
hear.
something on your
Yeah,
end or
nothing's
his
coming
end. Not
through. So give
sure.
us. I'm gonna hang up here and just give us a call again.
All right.
Maybe it'll work better next time.
Okay.
Uh,
Um,
all right. So you were talking about you're about to get into wide receiver waivers, and I
there's
interrupted you. We
yeah,
talked
no,
about Cam Newton, and now we're going to go
uh,
back to wide receivers.
spaghetti arm. All right. So did you watch when he played in New England? Like,
This
did
is
you
not New
see
England's
it?
offense.
It
This
doesn't.
is a gunning off. This offense is going to throw more with Dan Arnold, with DJ Moore, with Robbie Anderson. You're going to see these guys do very well. I don't know what I mean. I understand your hesitancy. I do, but we have to understand what is available there. Look, PJ Walker, he's the GOAT of the XFL, but he is not NFL ready. And he'll have some games where he's average, but there's no
Yeah.
way they're going to start him above Cam Newton.
No, of
Welcome to the
course.
Buzz. Who's calling?
Yeah, we're having some. I don't know why we can't hear him.
Now, technical difficulties. I don't know why we can't hear you.
All right. So
You're
yeah,
not.
Nathan had texted me. I'm not even in a league with him, but I know him for many, many years, and he had a question about a trade. Let's see if I can find it. All right, he was asking. He has Justin Jefferson and Kyle Pitts on his bench, packed away on his bench. Do I trade a running back or wide receiver for Tom Brady? That owner also has Joe Burrow as a backup. He is weak at running back and wide receiver and is sitting in fifth place. I'm in third, but 1 and 2 are weak. So maybe we'll try one more time.
Nathan. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. Probably some technical difficulties going on with the phones, guys. I'm sorry about that. We can't hear him. I don't know if he's trying to talk, but so he's
All
got
right.
Justin Jefferson on his bench, and he said he's weak at wide receiver.
No, what he's saying is the team he wants to trade, and
Oh,
he's trying to
they
get Brady.
have.
Hurts is his quarterback. He has Debo Samuel. He also has AJ Brown. So he's got people to trade to try to upgrade his quarterback position. So he's looking to try to trade those guys for Brady.
Oh, he wants Brady.
He wants Brady. Yeah, Hurts is his quarterback now. And maybe using Jefferson or someone else to try to get Brady. I'm gonna say yeah. If you can get Brady to upgrade from Hurts, I say go for it.
You would be
You
willing to
say
give up Justin Jefferson for it, though? Is the difference between Hurts and Brady greater? then the difference between Jefferson and whoever he would be starting in his
Well,
place.
he already has
Back
he
into
has
play.
AJ Brown, he has Debo Samuel, so I think he's pretty solid at wide receiver moving
Yeah,
forward. So, um, yeah, I do think so overall.
yeah,
Brady probably had his couple down weeks,
right.
and right, but he's going to get Brown back. He's going to get Gronk back. And look at last year, right? They kind of came to, and then the last 5 6 games they just blew up, right? He already did that in the first half. Now he had a little lull, and I think they'll come out of it fine.
Yeah, yeah. I actually for this coming week have Brady as my third rated quarterback after Lamar Jackson and Josh
Right,
Allen. All right, we are going to try this one more time
all right.
here.
Tell
See if we get lucky.
his wife probably keeps unplugging the phone when he calls.
Can you hear me, Wayne? Nathan? No, I don't know what's going on. Um, no idea.
Okay,
Sorry about
well,
that.
we'll have to forget about another. Travis says, wait till next week. Wait till next week. Brady has a bad week. See if he comes back. All right. Um,
I don't know. I mean, they play against the Giants. I'm not too concerned about it.
yeah. Should I trade? This is from 808D. I don't know what that means. But should I trade DK Metcalf or Keenan Allen for Cup?
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
If you
I
can,
trade
then
them both for Cup.
absolutely. Yeah.
I mean, we mentioned this before. Why is he so wide open? Why?
It's
How is it possible
it's
that
unbelievable.
every team prepares to face Cooper Cup week in and week out? They know you've got to cover this guy, and for
Oh,
some
Bob Dole.
reason, they show the quarterback in the camera angle. They follow the ball with the camera. As soon as it hits Cooper Cup's hands, there's not a person within 20
It's
yards of this
amazing.
guy. I
How
don't
do
get
they
it.
I don't get it. I don't get it. They know they're
No,
throwing, like last night they were driving down the field. I think he had like 5 straight completions. It's like just cover him. Everybody else was dropping the ball last night.
yeah, and it was interesting, Brad. I know with your game, you had Stafford. You were playing against Cup, so I
Yeah.
hate when that happens
Yeah.
because it could work both ways. But if Cup is the only guy that's getting catches, then it can't help you.
No. No.
So
It was not fun
it
last
was
night for me.
disheartening. Like you're probably happy when you see Stafford with the ball backing up to pass. And then
Yeah,
as
of
soon as he lets
course.
it go, you're like, please go to Higby, please go to
Anybody
somebody, please go to
anybody but
Odell.
Cup. Anybody
But
but Cup.
yeah, so
Yeah, it
yes,
was
the answer is Mr. 808D013. The answer
Bob
is
Dole. It's Bob Dole.
Bob Dole, the ghost of
Yes.
Bob Dole. Yes, go ahead and get Cup if you can. That is almost as no brainer as it gets. Oh, I see. It's Bob Dole.
But
Okay.
yeah, we say make that trade if you can, and run with that. I mean, Cup has not slowed down, and like the commish said, he is just. It just seems like he's open on every single play, and it seems that he and Stafford have this amazing. It's almost like watching Brady and Wes Welker from years ago, right?
Yeah,
Uh,
that's true.
it just like every play is going to him, or every other
Yeah,
play
because
is going
Miami
to him.
didn't need Wes Welker. So I would love for somebody to give us a call other than Nathan, just so we can test our system. It's Nathan
There's
again. Nathan, are you there? No, it's not
stop
working.
calling.
No. If somebody else out there, I don't care, Bob, Dole, Travis, somebody we haven't even spoken to, give us a call 772-800-BUZZ. You don't even
Want to
have
see
to
if it's
say
working,
anything other than
right?
hello, just so we can test the system and see if it's our fault or Nathan's fault, so we know what to do for next time.
All
But
right,
I'm sorry about that. Sorry about the technical difficulties. We have a very, very small budget. Let's put it that way.
all right.
Um,
So let me roll through a couple quick.
yeah, go ahead.
Well, there's really not many wide receivers. Robbie Anderson. Okay, I threw him in there
Oh, what?
because
What? Who's
what?
going to throw to
Yes,
him,
yes,
Brad?
yes, yes.
PJ
Noodle arm
Walker?
can get all. Well, when the thing is, Robbie Anderson's so tall, so when he
Mm,
he doesn't get overthrown.
mm, okay.
when when Cam Newton goes to throw it, it's 4 yards over the guy's head. He can actually get up there and get it. So that's why I'm giving him a chance.
Let
Anyway,
me ask you a
there's not
question.
much out there.
Last week I was talking about, look, pick up, Brian Edwards or Jamal Agnew or Traquan Smith.
Agnew.
Who are we talking about? Up, we do have a call. Hello, welcome to the Buzz. Okay, it is clearly
It's
our
clearly
system.
us tonight. Okay,
It
it's
is
the first
us.
time that's
Thank you.
happened. We'll have to fix that.
And it was
We'll
actually
talk about it.
Mike too. I would love to have talked to Mike, but I'm going to
Yeah.
see if I can get out and get back in. Thank you for Mike. Thank you for giving us a call and testing out our terrible system. But it doesn't seem to be working. So who were we? So back to the question when we were talking about all those receivers, and I was like, all these guys you could pick up and start before. Who do you remember? Who the person was that we were saying don't start them? Pick up these guys instead. It was somebody that was really low on the list, and we're like, come on, there's so many other guys.
There was, I mean, we had talked about Agnew, but and then of
No, no,
course he gets a little.
we were talking about, yeah, pick up Agnew, pick up, Elijah Moore, Brian
Yeah, I
Edwards, all these guys that
don't I
okay,
don't honestly, I don't remember.
okay,
We'd have to go back and listen and
yeah.
talk about that. But no, I do not remember. Why did that person? Did
I
they
don't
have a good
know. I don't
week?
know. Hey, let me ask you a question on free agency for wide receivers on waiver. What about Ray McLeod? The guy saw he had 12
Yeah,
he had 12 targets and he caught 9 of them. He only had 63 yards, and I know it was Mason Rudolph. And one of our listeners said the guy is trash, and he's 100% correct. Um, the Steelers
he
should
did
have
have a lot of targets. Yeah,
won that game, but they were playing for the tie. Um, Chase Claypool was out,
right.
but I didn't expect Ray McLeod to be the
Well,
guy. Is he
nobody
worthy of a
did.
pickup? Is he worthy of a pickup, or is it only if Claypool is out?
I mean, they do like to run 3 wide receivers there.
Right.
Does he pick up James Washington's, some of his play time, once Claypool comes back? Yeah, maybe. What kind of chemistry does he have with Roethlisberger? We know Roethlisberger likes Deontay Johnson a bit more. He's going to push it to him and Claypool. So, is it worth it possibly to get him and kind of stash him or start him if you need him? Yeah, but I wouldn't put, it's like one of those things. Look at Tony, right? What did he do? He had a
Darius
big
Hunt,
week
yeah.
and he hasn't done boo since. So, could he be like one of those guys? Is the fear of that. So Mike said he could not hear anything once connected. Yes, we're having some kind of difficulty. We're trying to, I think that Seth is trying to get out and get back in. So to see
Yeah,
if
I
that
got out and
works.
got back in. So yeah, if anybody wants to give us a call and try it again, we love our guinea pigs out there. So if anybody
Yeah.
is willing to give us a call, we'll try it one more time. If it doesn't work, we'll just shut down the phone for this week and we'll start it up again next
We'll figure
next
it out.
week.
All right. So tight ends, Dan Arnold,
Yeah.
Jacksonville, Austin Hooper. Again, not a lot out there. You can find these guys, but free agents are getting slim,
Yep.
but they are still needed. There's one league. I mean, it's an 18-person league. I mean, you want to talk about nobody? There is nobody.
Yeah.
My
It's like
second
basketball.
quarterback is Tyrod Taylor, and I have to start him this week because I have Stafford on bye. So
I speaking of Tyrod Taylor, and I don't know, I guess because it's a quarterback that has 2 T's, starting an alliteration, I
TT
guess.
Titty.
TT. There was a TT that started for the Miami Dolphins this week, many years ago, and I don't know if anybody can guess who that is.
What do you mean started
There
this
was a
week? Week
quarterback
11?
with what? Week 10. He started week
Week
10
10.
for the Miami Dolphins several years ago. And see if anybody can guess who that TT quarterback was. Had 2 T's.
Tommy Two-Tone?
Nope.
No. Uh,
Nope. But if anybody guesses that,
TT?
you'll win a big fake prize. Yeah, TT. He was quarterback. Miami Dolphins started week 10 several years ago. And if you get it, good for you.
Did
But
he
all
start
your all
anything? Did he ever start
yeah,
again or just 1 week?
I don't know off the top of
Hmm.
my head. But
Tom Tupa?
I can no, you're getting close, but no, no, not Tom Tupa. No. Okay. So not a lot of waivers out there. Again, if anybody has any questions, want to know who to pick up, who to drop, who to start, who to trade, give us a call. Maybe test our system 772-800-BUZZ, or go ahead and ask your question in the comment section of YouTube Live or Facebook Live. Brad, do we want to jump into this redraft and talk about that? Or what do you want to do?
Yeah, let's talk about it. We're going to go off our main league, how our top 10 was, right? Because every league's a little bit different. Maybe the scoring systems, maybe quarterbacks went higher, things like that. But we're going to go off our top 10 in our league from this year, and we'll go from there. All right.
Okay.
So this is how our league went, right? McCaffrey.
McCaffrey was number one. Of course, that was a consensus number one across all formats. It was
Right.
McCaffrey.
Right. Let's just run through it. We got McCaffrey, Cook, Kamara, Henry, Taylor, Chubb, Elliott, Adams, one, the only receiver in this top 10, Gibson, and Eckler.
Well, I will tell you, look, and this is a half PPR league. In
Right.
PPR leagues, you saw a lot more Hill, Diggs, people, maybe even some
Early on, right.
Ridleys early on that
Oof.
snuck in, maybe even DK Metcalfs that snuck in for half PPR. The league that you posted this top 10 list in that we're in together is actually
Correct.
a very heavy running back conservative league in that sense. It is rare that you have a lot of wide receiver picks or even a tight end because look, Kelsey went number one in a lot of leagues and he was projected to be a 9 or a 10 or even in 12-person
Right.
leagues in 11 or 12. So this is why it's a very running back heavy list. Now,
In
when you
our
take
league, right.
McCaffrey number one, and Brad, you had the pleasure of having McCaffrey last year.
Yes.
Don't you draft him with trepidation, knowing that there's a possibility that he's going to be hurt, or do you have to look the other way? Because I remember, look, I was number two, and when our number one went up to draft, I said, "You sure you don't want to take Cook?" Like I knew he was going with McCaffrey. I said, "You sure you don't want Cook?" He went to Florida State. You sure you don't want Cook? And he just picked up McCaffrey and put it on the board.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I would have done that if I was number one, or am I just saying that in hindsight?
There's we all get caught up in the consensus picks.
Yeah.
Right. I even remember having a conversation with the person who went number one, and they were saying, I'm really considering taking Taylor at one. And he said that before the draft. Like we had a conversation before the draft, and he said, I'm really considering. I said, would it be crazy if I did that? I said, no, not really. But is everyone going to laugh at you and be like, what the. But it's not crazy. You look at how he ended the second half of last year. Taylor was unbelievable, and going into this year. So, McCaffrey. I think he rested so much last year, and then he was over his injury. I think people were back confident about him, but obviously that hasn't panned out. But when he does play, he puts up big numbers.
Yeah.
So hopefully.
When you draft number one, you don't even want to have that speculation. That number one position is not the spot to speculate on somebody's health, which more or less is what it was, right? We didn't see anything to change our mind before the draft.
No,
so
only on the history.
What is that history? That's an injury.
He got hurt
history.
Last year.
That's what we saw.
Right.
Okay, let's see. Welcome to the Buzz. Who's calling? Okay,
The ghost.
It's the ghost of Bob Dole. It is clearly our fault and our problem. I apologize. So instead of calling, just go ahead and put your comments in YouTube Live, Facebook Live. We will have it fixed for next week, and I apologize for that.
Right.
Okay, so enough talk about. Okay, this is my last time. Hello, Kenneth. Okay, it's clearly not working. I'm turning off the phone. There is no more phone tonight. So enough talking about McCaffrey.
Okay.
So now what? Are we going to look at who we
Let
would draft today for the rest of the season, or
Yeah, I just want to say, so you had number 2, right? And I had number 3. And I remember we had a conversation. I said, "What am I going to do at 3?" And you're like, "Just take Henry and move on, and you'll be
right?
fine." And my response was, "How long is he going to last? I'm worried
You
about
did say
him
that.
breaking down."
You did say
Right?
that. Yep.
And through the first, obviously, until he got hurt 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks, whatever, 2 weeks ago, um, I was it was eating me up every week,
Are you
right?
saying that you're happy that Henry
Well,
got
now
hurt?
I am. Yeah. I mean, it was eating me up every week that I didn't take him. That even you said, "Oh, just take Henry and move on, and he's going to be fine." And even at 3, I was considering Taylor. I remember
Yeah.
considering Taylor at 3, and I took Kamara instead. So you could, oh, it's right, hindsight, of course. We all have it, but so what I think what we should do is kind of swap over and go through the top 10, what we would think now, and compare them to where they went,
Before we
and
do
and
that,
how
can
that
can I
looks.
just say that, I don't know what the numbers are, but if you handcuffed McCaffrey with Hubbard and you
Yeah.
handcuffed Cook with Madison and recently handcuffed Kamara with Ingram,
Yeah, which I
those guys
was
are
lucky enough
legitimate
to do.
handcuffs. And if you have Taylor, by the way, I would get Himes. If you have
Hmm.
a spot on your roster, you've got to pick up Hines, seeing what's happening to
Yeah,
these running backs. And luckily, there wasn't a game that Dalvin Cook was out that Madison didn't step in and have over 100 yards. And I don't know if Hubbard
that's
had that
true.
he didn't have the same impact that McCaffrey would have. Um,
Right.
right. But uh, the problem with Henry is, and we knew this going in, and no one expected him to get hurt. You thought it's a very good possibility, Brad. I remember that, but he never had a legitimate handcuff. Nobody even knew
No,
who the handcuff
he
was.
still really doesn't.
You're right. You're absolutely right. And Chubb,
you know.
the handcuff with Chubb got hurt, and that was Hunt. Even though Hunt and Chubb kind of shared.
Well, they shared,
Ezekiel
right, and then you
Elliott,
got right.
Everyone said grab Tony Pollard. If
Pollard.
Anything
Yeah.
happens to Elliott,
Oh,
Pollard
Pollard's the guy
will
for
probably
sure.
end up doing
Oh
more,
yeah,
right? And then
yeah.
with Gibson, there's not, really somebody that
McKissick,
there's a
but
right. And
yeah,
with Eckler, there's nobody. I mean, Roundtree is not considered really a handcuff.
right. And
Um,
mix in with well, what used to be Bernard is now Perrine,
right.
right?
Which really is not in
So
the same class as we're finding out.
exactly.
Okay. So
Yeah.
moving forward, Brad,
Oh,
if
right.
you were
Mixon
to do
wasn't
a
in that top
draft today, looking at rest of season, not looking back and saying,
10.
okay,
Hmm.
maybe I would take McCaffrey third now instead of first or whatever. But if we're
Yeah.
moving forward and you can redraft today, what are you looking at?
All right. So my number one starting today is Taylor.
Really?
Yeah. All right. I looked. I tried to look through everybody's numbers and see what they're doing, the consistency, right? Because would you rather have a guy who gets 22 points a week, or would you ever rather guy that gets 35 points one week and 12 points the next week?
Can I put up your list or you want to wait?
Yeah, go for it. Yeah, of
Okay.
course. So I take Taylor. He started off his first couple weeks were slow, but he has 7 straight. Now everybody's point system's a little bit different. He has 7 straight weeks with 20 plus point games,
It's very impressive what he's doing.
right? His high, I think, is only like 26, but he's getting over, I think one week was like 19 and a half or something. So I'm, round it up. But, you're getting 22 points a week. I'll take that every week from a player, right? And have that consistency. What do you think about that?
I agree. To
Two.
me, it's really between Taylor and Harris, and given
Okay.
the level of experience, given the line, given the history, I agree. I think at this point, I would go with Taylor. I think if
Okay.
Cook was 100% healthy, There might be an argument in there for those three between Taylor, Harris, and Cook, but I don't have a problem saying Taylor first at all.
Yeah. And then I go to the other guy that you're talking about, Harris, right in Pittsburgh. Again, he is the workhorse there. Last week I saw Snell come in for a few snaps. I was actually surprised.
A Snell
But
sighting.
yeah, but Harris is just he is the guy. Now, I do worry about him, having
Hitting
that
the wall?
that
Hitting that rookie
hitting
wall?
hitting yeah. I mean, you're talking about a 17 game season, not a 16 game season. And, so does he kind of hit a wall when your playoffs are going on? And
Look,
that is,
yes, that is an absolute concern. But it's not just Harris hitting that wall, it's that terrible line hitting a wall too.
well,
And that was one of the reasons why Harris fell
yeah,
out of the first round in most drafts, because everyone knew that Pittsburgh was going to have what everyone said was the worst rush offensive line in football. And they've
yeah,
actually turned out to open up some holes for Harris. It isn't like Harris is, Barry Sanders, where every play someone's in the backfield and he gets around them. They're
right,
actually opening up holes for Harris. But like Harris, and I agree with you, Brad, there's a chance he's going to hit that rookie wall. So will that offensive line.
right. But the fortunate thing for him is he's also getting catches. He's not
Yes,
he's not a one dimensional player. So I think there's been some games where he's had like 10 catches. So he's definitely getting the value there as well,
by the
which
way,
is
I
why I
want
put
to
him at
hear
10.
what you all think about this top 10 list, and would you do something different than what you see right now on the screen if you had a redraft today? Who would be your top 10? We would love to hear from you. Go ahead and put a comment in YouTube Live, Facebook Live, and we will get right to you. Brad, we got Taylor, we got Harris. I guess we're going Cook next.
I go Cook next. Now, you could go Cook, you can go McCaffrey in this spot. I just think Cook, he's been back for a few games now. Yeah, he had a couple little bit of injury issue, but I think in that offense and his abilities, I put him just a touch above McCaffrey. Um, what I don't like about McCaffrey is Cam Newton will steal some of those goal line touchdowns.
Absolutely. You're
Okay,
absolutely
and
right.
that's why I moved him below, just
Although,
just
do
below.
you okay? So let's talk about this real quick. And with Dalvin Cook, let's be clear: if you take Dalvin Cook here, you better be ready to spend a fourth or fifth round draft pick on Madison. So
On a redraft, yeah, yeah,
just
absolutely.
just yeah, just keep that in mind. But okay, so top three, understand, not a problem. McCaffrey, knowing his injury history, and by the way, for anybody that was watching that game when he took that wildcat
Hmm.
snap and then ran in around it. I mean, he just outran everybody around. Everybody knew what he was going to do, and they could not stop him. The guy is just unreal. But are you worried with my fourth pick in the draft, drafting a guy with that injury history, or is this a good spot to take that chance?
I think this is the best spot to take this chance. There's no doubt in a redraft in the middle of the season that if McCaffrey is there at 4 and he's now played 2 games in a row, amazing, right? And look at his last game and the catches and the runs and everything. And just like you said, he's outrunning people again. If he stays healthy, he is the guy. He will beat out all these other guys overall. And he might not
So,
score
so
touchdowns like the other ones, but he's going to get the catches and the yards, both rushing and receiving.
I don't disagree with you that the guy is a machine. I don't disagree with 1 second. But are you telling me right now that if you had Harris and I had McCaffrey and I said, Brad, would you trade Harris for McCaffrey? You would say no. You would not. You
I
would not
I would
take
be
McCaffrey
getting
over Harris.
McCaffrey.
Yes, and
I
giving up Harris.
probably would. I
Okay,
probably would.
so maybe move McCaffrey up to number
Well,
two
I know, but
if that's what
I'm
you're
just
saying. I mean, I wouldn't do it for Cook for McCaffrey right now. I would not. Just because he's 100% of that offense when healthy. Whereas McCaffrey, like you said, with the Cam Newton, issue,
right,
and I think the
that's kind
offense is
of
going to change a little, that's going to be a problem.
I
Um,
think the consistency is there for Harris. I think the upside, but Harris, you kind of know. I'm sorry, I said it before. Harris has been his high is 25 points, and his like low is like 18 over the past several weeks, except for like
right.
week one was his low week. He didn't start off great, but Taylor had higher weeks. But I think taking a chance on that upside where McCaffrey could be probably closer to that 28 to 32 points a week with what he's getting receiving and rushing, and then throw a touchdown in there, I think it's worth the chance. But if I'm drafting, I don't. I think I take that more consistency.
Okay.
I know it's like it's a give and take a little bit, but the upside of McCaffrey could just be huge for the rest of the season.
Okay. So that makes sense. I understand. Can you explain Mixon over somebody like Eckler at this point?
You know, you kind of. I've never been a huge Eckler fan. I know he's putting up numbers. I just we talked about it 2 weeks ago, and I think he didn't have a great week that particular week. I didn't even look at his numbers for this week. I have him at like 11. I actually have him I had him at 10 and I crossed it out and put another player in there. And so Eckler would be like 11 or 12 for me.
Yeah,
Um,
the problem is, Brad, and we can talk about it more when we talk about Eckler, is that he only's had one 100-yard game, but that's not Eckler's forte. It's all the receiving yards and
it's
the
the receiving.
catches
Yeah.
that make the difference with Eckler.
What did Eckler
What,
let
this
me
past
let me
week? This past week, he had 11 carries for 44 yards and 3 catches for 15 yards, but he did have that touchdown reception, so he ended up with close to 15 points. He's averaging 19 points a game, but that's mainly because of that one game against Cleveland, and then, well, the Cleveland game and the Vegas game where he had 30
yeah.
points in those games.
So
But there also were games like at Baltimore where he was under 10. Um,
yeah.
so
Yeah, yeah. Like I look at his last 4 weeks. He's got, let's say 15, 11, 22, and then that 7.5. Before
okay,
that, he was kind of on fire,
yeah.
right? But it's certainly come back down to earth a bit. And
Yeah, it's interesting. We used to have we have an ESPN platform now. We used to have the CBS
yeah.
Sportsline platform, and in the CBS platform, they used to have a feature called "Last 3 Weeks," and you would
Mhm.
be able to see the stats just for the last 3 weeks, so
Right.
that you can get, like what you're doing right now, is you look at the last four, because you really should be looking at what have you done for me lately. And
Right.
3 weeks is actually a pretty good determination of what
Yeah.
somebody's been doing.
You know,
So
that offense in general has slowed down a lot,
yeah, it
right?
has.
We were talking about Mike Williams earlier.
Maybe
They've
people are
just
figuring them out.
they've been stalling a little bit, and that's worrisome, right? So that's why I moved him down. Mixon has just been very solid. He's averaging about 20 points a game.
Yeah.
And he's not being overused. He's hanging around that like 13 to 15 carries a game. He's getting some catches, he's getting touchdowns. They're not overusing him, so they're in it for the duration, right? As
But
far
isn't
as
isn't Mixon isn't Mixon touchdown dependent though? Isn't he one of these guys? He only had one game over 100 yards, which was the first game of the season. Isn't really Mixon's thing that if he gets a touchdown, fine. If he doesn't get a touchdown, you're not going to get a lot of points from Mixon, and there's nothing wrong with that.
I, I mean, he's
But it's
getting
something to keep in
catches.
mind.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, look, but he's getting touchdowns.
He is getting touchdowns. I'm just saying that like with a
He's got
Harris,
he's got six
right?
touchdowns in his last 4 games. As a matter of fact, he's got a touchdown all every week except for 2 weeks, weeks 2 and 3. So if you look at him, what have you done for me lately? Yeah, 2 touchdowns, 2 touchdowns, 1 touchdown, 1 touchdown, 1 touchdown, 1 touch. He's getting them every week.
Well, one of my things, one of my pet peeves with fantasy football, and the fact that we've been all doing it the same for so long, is how many points a touchdown is. You're equating a touchdown to 60 yards rushing. And the
Yeah.
question is, which is harder to do? And I just think that in fantasy football we overvalue touchdowns. Um, but that's a discussion for
Well,
another day.
look, we used to undervalue yards, and even in our league,
Yeah,
right? We used to have, oh, you have to get to 80 yards for a running back,
right.
rushing and
Before you
receiving
get
before you even, and we got 5 points at that point, and then went from there.
right.
Before several years ago, we switched to one, point per 10 yards. So, like touchdowns are
It's a
touchdowns.
discussion for another time. We can talk about fantasy rules.
Yeah,
I think like at the end of the season, we'll start talking about what are some things to prepare for next season that we can talk about.
right.
So it's interesting,
But
Brad, because after
hey,
Mixon,
hang on one
instead of
second. Hang on one
yeah,
second. Luke asks, is Antonio Brown worth picking up? And yeah, even
and
though
even though
he's
he's
hurt
hurt right
right
now,
now.
yes, because
Yeah.
I can't guarantee, but I bet you have a receiver on your roster right now that is not as good as Antonio Brown.
Yeah.
And when I
And
say
I
not as good, I
imagine
mean
he's
he's
going to
not
be
going to be
back. Do we have how
when
much
he's
longer?
back.
How
Oh,
much
I don't
longer is he
know. I don't
supposed to be
know.
out? I don't
I
think
don't know
it's
how
supposed
much
to be
longer.
much longer.
Um,
But
But the
yes.
point is, there's a lot of depth, receiver depth out there. So I personally don't know who you have on your roster, but um, yeah, I would pick him up for sure. I don't think there's a question. Now we don't know even this week if he's going to play yet. Um, oh, that's what it was. It was Tyler Johnson with the Bucks.
Oh,
Somebody wanted to pick up Tyler Johnson,
oh, right, right, right.
and we were saying, "Oh my God, there's all these guys, including Agnew,
Yes.
and that you could pick up instead." And um, and as it turned out, Tyler Johnson had 3 catches for 17 yards. So we were actually right in that sense. But to answer your question, yes, go get Antonio Brown. If you want to ask us who you might need to drop in order to get him, we'll answer that as well, depending on
Yeah.
who you have on your roster.
When he comes back, he kind of, as amazing as it is, he kind of stretches that field for the Bucks. And not only does it stretch it, they have then when he's out there, and especially when Gronk is out there, they have 4 guys that they're trying to cover. That's why when you saw earlier in the season, Antonio Brown was able to get deep and get a lot of these long catches and put
You
up
know,
really nice numbers.
he looked a little lost last year, coming into a new system.
Yeah.
Things were strange. He just looked a little lost. But I think that the chemistry has
Yeah.
really built with Brady and Brown, 2 Hall of Famers throwing catches, pass and catch. Quite frankly, if he's available, I'm shocked. But yes, grab him. I
Yeah.
don't see why you wouldn't at this point, especially for your playoff run. That will definitely help.
Isn't that what he did to that girl in the football stands? Grabbed her? No,
All
he
right.
did other things.
Yeah. So we talked about Mixon, and this is where in our original top 10, Devontae Adams went. And you're saying, you know what,
Right.
let's keep up that theme of wide receiver, but not with Adams anymore. We're now going to the GOAT, Cooper Kupp.
Yeah. I mean, all this guy has done all year is put up beastly numbers,
Yeah.
right? And he's slowed down a little bit over the past few weeks, but even his slowing down, it's been 18 points, 20 points, right? Because he was up in the mid to higher 20s and even 30s some of the games. So
And yeah, I don't know if it was Ocho Cinco or Terrell Owens who said he was saying, look, it's coming to me. It's going to come to me.
yeah,
Try to cover me. You cannot cover
you
me.
can't.
And he was right. And so that's what's happening with Cooper Kupp. I don't
Yeah.
know.
And he's
I
half their
want to see a
size.
game plan. I would love to see if some defensive guru coach can come up with a game plan to stop Cooper Kupp. Now, don't the Dolphins play him at the end of the season?
I don't
Might be week
know.
17. So it might be very interesting if it is to see what happens. Because the last time we played the Rams, there was
They play no, they don't play Miami.
oh, okay, good. Um,
They get okay, so they're on bye this week. They get Green Bay, Jacksonville, Arizona, Seattle, Minnesota, and Baltimore weeks 16 and 17.
Hmm. Okay.
Baltimore does not have a good
No.
defensive backfield.
No. Nope. Um, okay, Brett. So I'm a little curious as we're moving toward the end of your first round.
Okay.
Um, it seems interesting. So you have Ezekiel Elliott,
Okay.
who 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 knows one week to another how he's going to do. Very high ceiling. There's no doubt about it. Chubb,
Yep.
we know that he had COVID. He's most likely going to start coming back again this weekend. Um, and Hunt's not here. Hunt's going to be gone. So it's really the Chubb and Dearness Johnson show at this point. So I'm not arguing with any of that. Kamara, you have so pretty far down the list. Is that strictly because of his injury? And are
Uh
you, because Kamara in general has put up pretty good numbers when he's healthy.
yeah, so the reason I did that with Kamara, and I have Kamara, so I'm pulling for him. Trust me. And Elliott could have gone down to 10 and moved those other guys up. But then, I think a lot of these guys are interchangeable at this point. But Elliott, has been doing it. He's been pretty solid. His past 3 weeks, he has 21, 12, and 10. So not amazing, but overall for the season, he's been pretty solid. All right. As far as Kamara, there's a couple things. Quarterback play, getting enough touches, Mark Ingram, just all of those things combined. He's going to get his touches when he's healthy. There's no doubt. But now being a little bit injured and with Ingram there, I think it may be more of a split time. Now, maybe not 50-50, but it might be 60-40, right? Which puts him still getting touches, but not enough to be in the top, the upper tier.
Okay,
Does that,
that's fair.
yeah, that's kind of the way I felt about him. I still believe he belongs up in that top 10, but just all of those other factors, make it tough.
And then I like Swift here. I think you're right. I think that he's borderline first round. I think some of the other borderline guys are maybe James Robinson, if he's coming out healthy. And we don't know how long Cordell Patterson is hurt for, but for the most part, I like this list. I think this is a very good list. Maybe I move Chubb down a little bit, but for the most part, Brad, I think it's a very good list. And
Well, thank you.
um, you
Appreciate
know,
that.
I if I had the second pick in the draft this year, it would be difficult for me to pick Harris over Cook just because I'd be concerned about that rookie wall that we were talking about. But
Yeah.
again,
No,
I'm not.
I
I don't
understand
have too
that.
many arguments with your top four. Um, you know, and the
Yeah.
question with Cup is why isn't he earlier? And it's mainly because there's not a lot of running backs available out there, and
Right.
whoever drafts Cooper Cup
Right.
starting at 6, just know your running back coming back around is probably going to have to be somebody like Henderson or Robinson or
Right.
Patterson or Fournette or Gibson. It's not going to be somebody that you necessarily want leading your league, but
Right. And
not a
and
bad
the and the
list.
reality is if the KC offense gets back on track, Hill should be in this top 10,
No,
or it could be
I like
11 or
Williams there.
12. What's
I
that?
like keeping Williams. I like keeping Williams right where he is. Darrell Williams, who was my flex, and as soon as CEH comes back, I'm so screwed. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, CEH would definitely definitely help out there. Okay,
It's fun to look at this, and it'll be interesting to see how this list plays into next year, right?
right.
And and see
Look, we'll
what the
talk
top
about
10 will
that.
be for next year.
Right,
Yeah.
we'll talk about that at the end of the season when we
Right.
recap and talk about who might be the number one next year.
Right.
Um, you know, right now it would be hard not to say it's Taylor. It has to be Taylor, but we'll
Right.
see. We don't know what's going to change, what's going to happen, but we'll talk about that at the end of the season. Um, as I'm being crowned champion of our league. No,
For the
it's not
first
going to
time.
happen. I can't help it. I do what I can. For the most part, except for a few times, I'm always in it, toward the end. I just can't, you know.
Well, did you hear the news? And of course, 2020 didn't make it tonight, but that Mitchell, our buddy
Eli
Elijah
Mitchell.
Mitchell, was having some finger procedure today.
Ah,
So
no.
they don't know if it's going to affect. Some people are saying, well, when did it happen in the game? He looked pretty good at the end of the game. Did it happen early in the game and he still carried the ball? So there's a lot of question. Oh, so Javi just said, will Mitchell play? We don't know. He was having a procedure today, and you'll have to keep an eye on that and see what the extent of the damage was and if he'll be able to
Which
hold the
means
ball and all of
Jeff
those things.
Wilson is in
Yes,
play.
pick up Jeff Wilson. Sorry, go ahead.
So if Jeff Wilson, if you have the ability, Javi, to grab Jeff Wilson, and if you're relying on Eli Mitchell, then you should definitely do it. Brad's on his phone right now picking up
That's right.
Jeff Wilson
In every league.
in every league.
Yeah, we just don't know. I heard that news today. You have to keep an eye and see how that materializes throughout the week. Oh wait, they play? No, they don't play Thursday night. They just played Monday night
They play
uh,
Sunday against Jacksonville at 1 o'clock.
against
So you'll
Jackson, right?
know. Yeah, you'll know that luckily it's not a Monday night game or a Sunday night game. So you'll know by 1 or 12, 11:30 whether or not he's going to be playing if
So
that's
Javi says he's taken in every league he's in. I'm assuming you're talking about Jeff
Jeff
Wilson.
Wilson.
That's
Yeah, so if you're
pretty
if you're
good,
in trouble, go back to Deontay Foreman or Wayne Gallman or somebody like that as a streamer for this
right?
week. I don't know who else you have
Not Trey
backed up
Sermon.
on your what? Not Trey
Not Trey
Sermon.
Sermon.
No. I don't know who else you have as a backup on your roster, but those are two of the guys that you could consider playing,
Yeah,
even if it's a flex spot.
yeah. And look at some of the people. I know we're gonna wrap this up, but look at some of the people like Leonard Fournette, who has kind of disappeared a little bit. And it's just crazy how the season's going. I have Collins or Moss. Thanks. Yeah, I don't
Mm,
really love either one of them, but I guess Moss would be my pick there. Um, Alex Collins really has done Zippo, right? And is Carson supposed to be back? I don't know if
I,
he's
I
coming back
have
this
I
week,
have an
next week.
issue with Collins, so me and Collins don't get along.
What did he do to you?
Well, several years ago, when Alex Collins came in to relieve the running back, he was a second string, and he came in and he just was a monster toward the end of the season. This was probably 4 years ago. Uh,
Was he in Baltimore?
I think he was in Baltimore at that
Yeah.
point, and he had just an absolute monster season
Okay.
our end of season. So in the draft the next year, I actually picked him up as my RB1 or 2. And he was I was at the end of the draft. I was like number 10 or something. And he was projected to actually do what he did at the end of that season. And he did absolutely nothing. And when I see him out there doing nothing, it reminds me. It was 2017 with Baltimore. He had 973 yards and 6 touchdowns. And the next year for Baltimore, he ended up with half of that. So it's just, yeah, like I said, we don't
The,
we don't see
and
eye to
and
eye.
and this segment is called the Commish Grudge.
Yeah, but it's okay.
So, and the other, uh, well, there's some other news I was going to bring up and talk about, and I had it and I went completely blank on it, so I can't even remember
Just
what it was.
just just to, while you think
Oh,
about that.
Lev
Okay,
Bell,
go ahead.
done. Sorry,
Yeah, Lev
Lev
Bell's
Bell cut
gone. It's
today.
a shame,
Yeah,
people, we
sad.
just see them fade away, and
Yeah,
um,
maybe we've
the,
seen the last of them.
yeah, the big question I have that everyone probably has is, had he stayed in Pittsburgh, had he not done that ridiculous holdout that his
Oh,
agent talked him into, would he still be on that team right now?
relevant? No, no. I mean,
Not with that line for sure.
Well, yeah, but I mean, eventually he hit a wall.
Yeah.
I think I was watching the other day. I don't know where I was, but I was watching somewhere and I saw him dancing behind the line. I'm like, he's just done. He can't. He had no burst. He couldn't hit a hole. He couldn't. He used to do that little shuffle step, then be able to hit the hole and go. And he had nothing. So, he was a great while it lasted. He was a great player, but I think his days are done. Maybe he'll go to Atlanta. Who knows?
The running back who Baltimore was starting, by the way, was Javorius Allen, if you remember. And
Wow.
yep. And so it was Collins that took over, and he was just a monster. But all right, enough of
All
my
right.
grudge,
Yeah, we
guys.
have
It's
one
been.
we have one more last question from Javi asks, he answer Bateman or Williams? Bateman
Are you
at this
talking about
point.
rest of season? Or are you talking about this week? I mean, I don't know if it matters either way.
I would assume he's asking about this week. And like we talked about this. Maybe you got on a little late, Javi, but we talked about Mike Williams has just disappeared in that offense. And could he come out and have, one of these, like, 70-yard touchdown catch and end up with 3 for 85 yards? Yeah, of course. But I think Bateman gives you the more upside at this point.
I don't
Um,
know. I'm gonna have to disagree on this one. I think that the Steelers' defensive backfield has been putrid this season. Um, uh, quite frankly, I think that Mike Williams will have a better week um, than
than
Bateman
Baltimore,
this
than
week. I mean,
Bateman.
obviously, if you're in a dynasty league and Bateman's available, you grab him. And it's not that Baltimore's playing a tough Chicago team. It's mainly because of the number of weapons. Hollywood's not going anywhere. Andrews is not going anywhere. Lamar, the running back, is not going anywhere. Quite frankly, I mean, Bateman is great. I love this kid. I was hoping the Dolphins would grab him in the event we didn't get Waddle, but honestly, I know Mike
All right,
Williams has been struggling, but I still I go with Williams, so I'm sorry about that, that you have a
Ja-
split decision here.
Javi, sorry, split decision on that one. But we can do a $1 bet on that for this week as well. I'll take Bateman. You take Williams. Write it
All right.
down. Put it in the
I'm gonna
book.
write it on the dollar, actually.
Write it on the dollar.
I'm
Did you
writing
write
it
the
on
other
the
one down?
dollar.
What was the other one? Oh, Cam Newton. I think I can name 12 quarterbacks I'd rather start than Cam Newton going into this week.
Okay.
Might
Oh,
even
look,
include
look,
Tyler
hold
Tyler
on. We
Heineke.
weren't talking about this week necessarily. I said rest of
I know you
season.
were talking about the
Okay.
season,
All right.
but it starts with this week.
All right, guys, thank you. Thank everybody so much. Javi and Luke and the ghost of Bob Dole, Travis, Kenneth, Angelo. Guys, we really appreciate you listening and commenting and asking questions. And that's our job. That's what we're here to do for you guys. And we appreciate it. Sunday morning.
I will definitely not be available Sunday, but I hope that you and 2020 can do a show, and if I can, I
Okay.
will jump on.
We
But
will
I will be in San Antonio.
yeehaw. All right. So
Yeah,
we'll let
at
you
the
know.
Alamo.
We'll let you know ahead of time whether or not we're going to be on Sunday. If not, we will be here Tuesday night. Um, and get ready for our Thanksgiving. Tuesday night will be our Thanksgiving show, and we'll talk
That's
about
right.
what's going to happen on Thanksgiving Thursday.
3
So, guys,
games.
that's right. So, guys, have a great night. Be safe. Brad, final word.
Thanks everybody for your questions. Thanks for trying to call. We'll hopefully get that fixed by the next show. And enjoy your Thursday night game and the weekend. I was going to
All
say the
right.
weekend.
Take
It's
care.
only Tuesday. Bye.
Bye.